Please subscribe to help you and your motorcycle perform better.
Hey everyone, we're here at SoSo Cycles in Concord, California. Our focus this morning is going to be Ducati's brand new V2. It's going to be ridden by a bit of a local legend, Jeff Cook, especially in the car world, who's now moved to motorcycles, has a Ducati V4 and is doing incredibly well on a motorcycle, as you would expect from any high-level athlete in their sports. We're going to do a couple things here. One, take a quick look around the bike, walk around it, see what we've got, see what we have for componentry. Secondly, we're going to measure all the static sag, take a look at rider sag, and see how Jeff ergonomically fits the bike, because the tank looks to be a little bit long. And then thirdly, we're going to send Jeff out on a test ride to go ahead and evaluate the stock settings. I don't want to make any changes because this is a demo model, so how it's produced is how it's experienced. What would I change after the fact? Well, that'll be at the end of the video, so if you want, you can skip all the way to the very end and go get that information. However, that being said, with any new motorcycle, there's a process. We've got to go through it. What do we have? What does the suspension do? How are the ergonomics? What might we change? And then what should we change? And once we get through that process, then we'll be able to take a look at this brand new offering, which everybody's loving, and see off the showroom floor how good it is. Looks like it's time to get to work. Bike's being rolled out. I need to go do my walk around. So let's do that next. And we are going to go ahead and test ride this bike. All new, everything completely new. So we're going to look at ergonomics. We're going to take a look at suspension. And then we're going to take a look at new swing arm and how that feels. Again, moving away from the single-sided. So Öhlins forks have preload, rebound, and compression. And our Öhlins shock also has preload, compression, and rebound, but no ride height. So we can't change that componentry to lengthen the shock, which is interesting. Ergonomically, shift is actually quite low, which is good. We'll hopefully see if that fits my shoe size. And then the other piece of the puzzle is on top of that. In terms of the cockpit, the bars are wide. They're very wide. And they're not adjustable. So, because the tank appears to be quite long, the handlebars are actually in the middle of the fork, which might work out well. Boys away on a test ride. See you in a bit, Jeff. Now on the rear shock specifically, preload is all the way off. Compression is 22 clicks in. I just tested it. And rebound is 13 clicks out. So as we mentioned before, there's no ride height adjustment capability to it at all. And the spring is very, very progressive. So static sag is 16 millimeters. So it's right on the edge of soft for street, which you'd expect. On the front, our preload is 7 turns in, Rebounder compression, a 13 clicks out. One note, the master cylinder reservoir here covers your right fork, so you're gonna have to nudge it to get the 3mm Allen in. Okay, Jeff, you're back from the test ride.
Yeah.
Let's hear all about it.
Yeah, first of all, it's much lighter than the V4 that I'm used to. So going out there, it immediately was just falling into corners, even at low speed stuff, coming out of the parking lot. That was like the first thing I noticed was how light it was. And then the shifter itself, it feels much more mechanical than the V4. Almost feels like a PDK, like you push it and it's gonna decide what it's gonna do. This one feels like you gotta push it, and then when it mechanically goes in, that's when you know. So I actually prefer this. It felt really nice. So right, being lightweight and the shifter were two things I really liked about it. Yeah.
Engine performance?
I couldn't see needing more power than that on the street. Like there was, I mean, it picks up the front end very quickly. And it has plenty of torque. You can be at like 3,000 RPM and it feels awesome. So On the street, this feels much more usable, and you can actually wrap it out. It feels like it could go another couple hundred RPM than what it does, so or a couple thousand RPM more than it does. When it gets to red line, it feels like, oh, that's when it would probably get more, but that's probably being used to the V4. Right when the V4 kind of kicks you in the butt, this one you shift. But on the street, there's no way you would use more than that. And I think for like a smaller track, this would feel really good.
Rev range power was from 3 grand to 7, 8. You probably stay there for the street.
Oh yeah, I think even I wasn't finding that I needed to go down a gear. I thought I would need to go down a gear riding on the street, but I was riding just like I would on the V4. I was staying in the 3,000 to 6,000 RPM, and if I really wanted to wrap it out, it actually, I think it redlines at 10 or something. It's pretty low.
Right.
So, like I would see the lights and you'd shift right away. But it feels really good. It sounds nice. It has a really good induction sound. Pretty quiet on the exhaust. I would like immediately do an exhaust, but it sounds good with the induction. Yeah.
Given the sag measurements that we saw,
Oh, yeah.
there was definitely a rear bias to the bike, a considerable bias.
Yeah.
It sounds like mathematically we found that on paper, but in practical terms, that wasn't a reality.
No, it was actually perfectly fine for the street. It was really soft. It was interesting being able to put my feet all the way down. I could be like comfortable at a stoplight. Almost felt like I was sitting in a chair. But where on the V4 I have to have like on my toes at least on one side. So it squats really well at a stoplight. Makes it easy to sit up. Over the bumps it's really smooth, really easy to go over. Like we went through some pretty rough areas. Probably see in the video, you'll feel it too. But it absorbs the bumps really well. It may feel a little bit imbalanced front to rear, and I think that's probably due to the sag that we were talking about.
Right.
So if we could make some adjustments to how stiff the rear was, and you could help balance it, I think it would ride a lot better on the street because the front's acting one way and the rear's acting another. So, yeah.
Yeah, and actually when I pushed on the bike, which I wasn't going to tell you,
Yeah.
the front rebounds a lot quicker than the rear.
Yeah. So that makes sense then.
Yeah, so now that would qualify what you were feeling on the bike, seat of the pants.
But you can, I mean, with your legs, you can just toss the bike around. It feels very, very light. I don't think, I mean, like I've just gotten so used to the V4, but the V4 you have to like mean it, and then it's pretty stable when you come out because of all the power. You can place it down. But this one, I mean, if you look, you almost have to be like a little more patient because it's gonna just drop.
Ah,
And
interesting.
it's very, very tight here, which is nice. So your outside leg, you can really hook it in there compared to, I think they did that on the 25 for the V4 too, but my 24 is a little more rounded, so you're really pressing and not sucking in against it. So, yeah.
Any vibration through your hands?
Not at all. I was, maybe as far as like ergonomics, I was feeling like I was on the edge of my palms a little bit too much. Like I was sitting up more, so there was less weight, but it all went to the edge of my palm. So I think just getting an ergonomic adjustment in the bars, if possible, or with the way that I was sitting a little bit, that could have been maybe something to do with other setups. But so I was getting a little uncomfortable on the outside of my hands, and I was also, my right foot for the rear brake felt like it was way up. So I was needing to like put my toes, get on my toes the whole entire time I was riding, or I was cramping up my shin on my right side. Left side felt pretty comfortable, but also felt like it could be adjusted. So I've gotten spoiled on my V4, had Dave set it up, so it fits me perfectly, and then like the balance is perfect, so I can literally just in second gear keep it wide open and it puts all the power down. Perfect. So that's what's interesting too, like on the V4, I can in second gear wrap it all the way out with how we have it set up, with how we did all the suspension, and that has obviously a lot more power, and it'll just pick up a few inches off the ground, it feels like, and I can keep it pegged, shift, it drops, and in third it picks up a little bit. This one, it was fun, but if I pegged it in second, I just yanked the front up. That was, which is fun, but I could see like on the track, I'd want to get more ergonomically fit and be able to get it to put the power down and be able to really use it at the track. It feels playful and set up for the street. Yeah.
Ergonomically, it looks pretty generous from the photographs we took and put you on it, but shifter is too high and the brake pedal is far too high. Both are adjustable. So that would absolutely explain your shin cramps and discomfort in that area. But even with your toes on the pegs, your knee angle was fine.
Yeah. So toes on the pegs felt good. So I agree with you. That makes perfect sense. And it just felt like I was yanking my right foot up the whole time if I wanted to use the rear brake. Speaking of the brakes, that's probably the one biggest difference I actually noticed from the V4. This has really good brakes, but it's not anything close to like what I have on the V4. And maybe it's some settings that we need to go in there and check. But I felt like I really needed to like feed the brake a lot more in the front. And on the V4, it's like I have to be careful. Like it stops so hard, which is really nice for the track. So I would try to probably find that. And that might be it's just so the rebound's off or the suspension's not quite right in the front too. It might just be setting in and not giving me enough back. But I felt like I needed to feed the brake a lot more.
Did you feel like you needed 4 fingers versus 2, or you just needed a lot longer braking time?
A lot longer braking time. Like that initial brake, I had to really find it. And then like it's there, so I think it's adjustable, but it felt like I had a lot of travel before I got what I wanted.
Okay.
And then they were good. Like you can tell they're good brakes, but need some setup changes.
Yeah, like anything else, it's just part of the ergo package of putting the lever at the right distance for your hand.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a brand new bike with 597 miles on it.
Yeah, it's ready to probably get its first oil change.
Yep, it is ready, and we'll be the last 2 people to ride it because the oil filters are on back order.
Oh shoot. And what's interesting is where it gets hot. I was wearing pants and boots that were good for protecting me against heat. It felt like the heat was, like, it makes sense, but it was just coming out so much up here in the front.
Interesting.
Where my kind of my caps were. But it would take a long time to get hot, but once it got hot, it was hot. So there was only one time we stopped at a street light for over a minute, and then it was very, very hot. But I mean, the V4 is extremely hot.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's all relative at that point.
This one doesn't obviously have any cylinder deactivation, or it would turn off. So, but that was probably the other thing. So, do still feel like it's a super sport where you're lean forward a bit. I had to remind myself to keep my weight in my legs a little bit more, but it's more comfortable than the V4. But I wouldn't mind putting it down. Like I think there's an option to get bars that are set up for the track. I think I would be totally fine making that adjustment. It's
given what you look as you look at the triple clamp is cast, so the entire assembly has to be changed out to get adjustable handlebars. Probably 5 degree because they'd be so low.
Yeah.
And then the other piece of not concern but to question is clearance based on handlebar position when you put the clip-ons on. How forward and backward can we take them based on full lock?
Yeah.
So that I'm sure that's been engineered in because it's an upgrade kit that you buy for this bike.
It's a big kit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's expensive. Yeah. So.
And there's a lot to turn it into a track bike, which makes sense because this is a street bike and it does its job apparently pretty well.
But if we get one, it's going to be full track.
It will be full
the
track,
track.
yeah.
It feels like it'd be perfect for Thunderhill, 2 Mile, Sonoma, Buttonwillow, because you'd just be barely getting to where it's starting to lose a little bit of the top end. It feels like really good through 2nd and 3rd and then part of 4th. So I would say for smaller tracks, this has to be much better than the V4, and then the V4, I would still use that.
Right.
3 Mile, bigger tracks. So, Laguna. But yeah, I think it's really good. Like for the streets, much more comfortable than I expected, and it feels very, very easy to ride. That's the very friendly.
Well, I guess the takeaway then is a couple of modifications, specifically quite a bit of work on the shock.
Yeah.
And then figure out the brakes is really what we'd be looking at to make it right for you.
Yeah.
And then based on that, then it will be, okay, so the road variation is this. When we need to up it for track, what those changes would need to be.
Yeah, probably a tinted visor would be the first thing.
Well, thanks for taking the bike out, Jeff, and thanks for the review. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks to SoSo for Cycles for letting us do this.
For making us
The bike's great. I think the Yamaha is going to be very upset that they delayed the R9 because people are going to ride it and be excited to get it, don't want to wait. So
Right.
it's worth the extra price.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that from your smile.
Yeah.
And I guess I need to go get suited up and try it for myself.
You too.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Okay, let's get started on our test ride. Ergonomically, if I go right up on my toes, my calf muscle is definitely in my hamstring, so knee angle for me is a little tight. Levers, clutch is good, brake needs to go down. That's that instant part. Throttle rolls on. There's no dead spot, it's nice and smooth, so that's encouraging. Still warming the bike up, of course. What are we, 154 engine temp? Clutch action is extremely light and smooth. Very light and smooth. Has a fast idle and then drops as you come to a stop from about 1700 down. Let's see if that's consistent. Next piece of the puzzle is going to be obviously comfort, bump compliance. Right now, if I just push down on the rear seat, there's some excellent compliance there. Get used to the clutch. We're going to go on the freeway. Gearbox, you can feel the shift, so it's not butter smooth, which is nice. I like to feel the gears engaging. I don't want something that is vague. So what are we in, third gear? All right, let's get on the freeway, go one quick junction, turn around. Really loud intake noise, which is great, love it. Quick shift is nice and smooth, no issue there. 6th gear, 5,000 RPM. That pulls really smoothly, which is beautiful. We'll take the win on that. Using the clutch to downshift, definitely very easy. We'll go around the block. As far as street speeds, the front's definitely much firmer than the rear, no question of that. Slower speeds, it becomes very obvious, but again, it's all adjustable. So there's no issue about changing settings, which is good. I think fork is 7 in on preload, 13 and 13 on compression and rebound, which makes sense. That the front end feels pretty stiff. What are we doing now? 40 miles an hour. The back offers decent compliance, definitely decent. So I like that. But I would imagine we'll need to be doing 70-80 miles an hour for the front to come in. So for a commuting purpose, obviously you will absolutely need to soften that front end up. But that's the beauty of adjustability. There's that hang up. Yeah, it's about 1800 RPM, and then it settles down. Don't know if that's because it's brand new or it's part of the ECU setting for the first service, or excuse me, prior to the first service. We'll see if that's consistent. Yeah, nice smooth takeoff.
Like I said, quick shift is very smooth, but the gearbox is mechanical. And I am very grateful for that, because you know you have put it in gear. Alright, so there's a quick city street evaluation. Now let's go take it onto the freeway. Yeah, that's a lovely sound from the intake. Definitely appreciating that. Well, let's see if we can get on the freeway. Still hanging up. Interesting. Mirrors vibrate. Definitely a little bit, but nothing that you can't see. Very little vibration in the handlebars that I can feel, so that's good. And that clutch, when you're in tight situations, easy to use, not a problem. Okay, so we're just going to go a couple of junctions. I want to test the suspension at a freeway speed and see how it feels. Okay. Front wheel lifted off the ground, no problem at all. Power seems to come in right after 5,000 RPM. A lot of traffic, so definitely 5,000 RPM. Even more so 57, 5800. Suspension is smoothing out. The rear doesn't feel plush, definitely feels connected to the road, but the front is starting to come in a little bit. What are we doing? 75 miles an hour. Let's move across. So 6 gear, roll on. Yeah, you can feel the power starting to come on pretty strong. I'm going to come off here on Tree Boulevard. Quick deceleration. The clutch doesn't smack at all. There's no kickback from it. Feeding the power out. Feels very, very smooth on downshifts. Let's make our way off the freeway. But it certainly is a much better feel anywhere above 65, 70 miles an hour overall. The static sag part in the rear shock, that's definitely, I'm sure, contributing to the rear wheel coming up. The front wheel coming up. Absolutely the case. So off we come. We'll get back on the freeway and head back. Oh yeah, as you slow down, you definitely feel it. Braking, probably 50% lever pressure. Still hung up on the RPMs. Offers plenty of power. The more you put into the power on the lever, the harder you pull, the more the brakes bite. I'm not personally a huge fan of brake pads that offer a massive initial bite, and not my kind of thing. I like to add pressure and add friction and therefore feel the brakes, so I can understand pressure and duration, how much I do or don't need. In terms of engine braking, it doesn't smash you into the tank. It actually offers proportionally appropriate engine braking, but for those commuting, absolutely you'll need to soften specifically the front for sure. 100% required. Finding neutral is a piece of cake, not an issue at all. And to bring the bike to a stop in traffic conditions like this, I'm probably only using 20-25% of the front brakes. The rear brake is very efficient and effective. It doesn't lock up quickly. It offers you good feel on the right foot, so that's not a problem at all. Very nice, easy bike to manipulate on city streets. But certainly you want to get on the freeway and feel the front wheel lift. Not difficult in second and third gear. I'm sure Jeff had a hoot doing that. I haven't seen his video from his test ride yet. Alright, let's look for our freeway signs. Sacramento, take a left. And as usual, lots of stoplights. I don't think dispatching that Prius is going to be a problem when we get on the freeway. Oh, I'm sorry, was that my inside voice? Oh dear. You can't feel the engine disturbing you. It's got a nice smooth rhythm. So what's our idle? 1300 RPM. It's actually not intrusive at all. Very comfortable. The left mirror does wiggle a little more than the right, but not a big deal. You can still see very clearly. Visibility in the mirrors is good, so the extension and position of the mirror, even when your arms are on the grips, gives you a good field of vision behind you. That will work for me, especially if you're on city streets. I am completely flat-footed right now with the bike at the traffic light, which for a sport bike is somewhat unusual for me because my legs are not very long. I often struggle with that, but because of the static sag and the rider sag that we got with Jeff, it's not a surprise my legs are a little longer than I'm completely flat-footed, which makes commuting, urban riding, that part of the environment really, really easy. You don't have to tiptoe, ballerina, or do any of the other struggling parts that are often associated with city riding. Alright, back on. Here we go. Second. Oh yeah, pops up right away. About 5,000 to 6,000 RPM. Great pull. That would get you in trouble. I have no doubt about that. So we need to move across. So we're in fourth gear, we've got to wait. And we've got a couple of miles to go before we come back off. Check again, we're good. So fifth gear. Oh, the dash goes orange. Okay, that's interesting. Not sure if that's throttle related or if that's in terms of RPM or how much throttle you give it. Kind of trapped, so not sure I can experiment again, but I have one more junction. We'll let the Camry get away. There we go. Full throttle kicks it on. So that's an interesting visual. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong, it just means you went full gas. Actually that may be after 6,000 RPM. Again, we're stuck in traffic. This freeway is really rough. Really rough. We'll settle down a little bit as we're coming up on the next junction. All in all, the wide bars I have my hands all the way in on to the inside of the grips, and that's very comfortable. Outside is definitely not comfortable for me at all. So, first impressions, great motor, superb clutch and gearbox, shocks, little on the firm side but not much, but again, that's fixable. And then the other piece of the puzzle, realistically, is the front fork. So if you're going to commute with this, you're going to have to soften it up. What would I do for settings? Well, for me, I'd probably go preload, 2 threads exposed. I'd do rebound and compression at 16 out to start on the rear shock. And then on the forks, I'd go preload, 3 turns in, compression 16, rebound 16, just a minor change. So now heavy braking coming off, ABS is engaged. Let's see what we did for fork travel with the current settings. ABS engaged just tells you through the lever, you can feel it's working, but the lever doesn't pulse in your finger. So that is a really nice part of the feature. So back at the dealership, that's the test ride complete. Let's go ahead and give Joaquim the keys back. And SoSo, thank you very much for making time to allow me to ride the brand new V2 and bring everybody on YouTube a review. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.